All right, it is now time for your council recap on a jam-packed council meeting that just took place, well, as we look at now, but it was on the 27th of January. It was about a 4-hour meeting, so we've got a lot to get to today. Certainly we understand that we may not get in detail as we normally, but set the stage. You can go back and watch that meeting on Fact TV and check it out. So Chad, here we go. We'll jump right into it. We start in Plan Commission on a resolution approving comprehensive development plan request.
Yeah, so there was actually the first three items that we'll talk about are all related to the Jamestown Quarry redevelopment, which is right across from the Target Orchard Point area on McKee Road. And the first item that was taken up by the Common Council and was approved was a comprehensive development plan request, which ultimately was an update to the to this development plan based on how the development is coming together and what the uses are tending to look like now.
All right, and then 2 and 3 work in similar fashion, so not that we're skipping ahead.
Right. 2 was the certified survey map, so that's basically creating the lots that the additional development will take place. And then 3 was the rezone to accomplish what those development entities will look like.
Next resolution is approving a preliminary plat request for, well, it's just a plat for a piece of property.
Sure. So this property is located near Lacey Road and Notre Dame. And the property owner there, which this has been in the city's comprehensive land use plan for the better part of 30 plus years to be low density residential, is proposing low density residential in this. Would create about 25 buildable lots. This is the preliminary plat that was approved last night. There'll be some additional modifications and tweaks possible to this as they really refine some of the logistical items related to this development before the final plat comes forward. But ultimately, it's looking like some single-family development there.
All right, we move on to an ordinance approving a rezone request. Leave it at that. I'm trying to even summarize it myself.
Right.
Same deal.
This is exactly the same project that we just spoke about, and what this does is accomplishes a rezone. It moves it from small lot agriculture to low to medium density residential. So this is one of those early steps in a development project where you make sure that the city zoning aligns with what the use will be.
All right. We also have a rezoning request for a Grace.
Yeah, so a Grace is actually reducing the scope of their facility hospice care and creating what's going to be called the Dementia Village. They're really leaning into dementia care in our region, and they're going to do an extensive remodel of their existing complex on East Sherrill Parkway to have that come to fruition.
All right, we move on to Board of Public Works. We're moving right along on a transit fund budget amendment. This was for work, I believe. Was this the Fish Hatchery Road work?
So this is actually for the 2025 budget. So we were about $15,000 short in our budget, and we also received an additional $76,000 in transportation aid from the state. So ultimately, this was a budget amendment to want to accept the additional aid that was come in, and then allocate $15,000 or so of that aid to the overage in the 2025 budget. So, and then the remaining balance was placed in the city's transportation fund.
Next, we move on to resolution acceptance of the 2026-2028 water treatment chemicals.
Yeah, so each year, typically, we've done a contract with a vendor to provide the chemicals that we place in our water treatment system. Think fluoride. There's 2 or 3 others that are listed in the documents there. And we did a little something different this year. We did a 3-year contract. It actually reduced the overall cost on an annual basis. And the Common Council approved this 3-year contract with the vendor to provide those items.
We have approval of upgrading a 2026 John Deere tractor. I hope you know your tractor stuff.
Well, I know enough about this one to be just slightly dangerous. So we ordered a tractor in 24, and that tractor showed up in late 25. It did not have the capabilities that the company or sales business that we bought it from indicated that it would have. They have agreed to take that tractor back and provide us with the upgraded model that will do what we need it to do. for a cost of about $4,900. So that was approved by council.
All right, we move on to amendment for final assessment amounts for 2024 sidewalk replacement project.
Yeah, there were a couple of clerical errors that had to be fixed in this particular resolution. So this was finally completed and passed by Common Council, so we'll be able to move on and issue those final assessments for the 2024 sidewalk replacement project.
All right, we move on to approving a change order number 1 for Fish Hatchery Road. This is the one I was jumping to, so nevertheless, what do we got going on?
So folks who drive Fish Hatchery Road may have noticed that the intersections at Sherrill and Lacey obviously were in some disrepair. The city partnered with Dane County on a 50-50 basis to repair those intersections. That work was done by Dane County this summer. And unfortunately, due to the complications of the project and some traffic related movements, there was an $80,000 additional cost associated with this work. The city share is $40,000, so we did a budget amendment in order to cover that additional cost.
All right, we move on to amending the 2025-2026 General Fund and Capital Projects Fund balance for our Public Works LTE Special Project Engineer.
Yeah, the city's been using for the last several years a now retired engineer who used to work as the city's Public Works Director about 10 years ago to assist with some engineering-related projects and other large projects, specifically the Police Services Facility, the upcoming City Hall remodel, and a couple of parks projects. So this resolution effectively amended the 2025 budget to cover the additional hours that this person worked that were previously unbudgeted for, and then increased our funding for 2026 to allow for the same number of hours for this employee to work. And I will point out that this employee is working for a significantly reduced rate that if we were to use consultant services for the same work.
All right, that's awesome. We have a resolution approving an agreement for subdivision improvements on Outlot 2.
Yeah, this was postponed. The city is still working with the developer to finalize that agreement.
All right, on the Park Commission, we had the approval of the naming of the park located at 2220 Traceway Drive. We called it the Hub. It shall not be.
No, there was obviously a process that was utilized, and the city took suggestions as to what this new park facility could be named. And last night there was a bit of testimony from some residents and Park Commission members that the Common Council listened to and heard, and they debated this to a little bit of a degree, and ultimately the Common Council selected Hosta Hochi, which is a name that was provided by the Ho-Chunk Nation. It kind of indicates like a place of gathering,
Gotcha.
living room, those sorts of things. And we'll be looking, obviously, as we do the signage on this facility, to also include some information in the building as to what that name means in Ho-Chunk.
All right, more information to come.
Yeah.
All right, we move on to Library Board. They had accepting proposals for creative and interactive feature for their children library not expansion, but some reworking of that space.
Yeah, they're going to do a little bit of a remodel project in the children's library area, and this accepted the proposal that was submitted and authorizes the library to go ahead and proceed with that work.
On to community and economic development, they have a resolution approving the 2026-2028 Venture Debt Fund Partnership Agreement between the City of Fitchburg and Madison Development Corporation.
Yeah, so we've been a partner in this program since 2004. So this is simply the contract that extends through 26 through 28, allows us to continue to participate in this venture debt fund program that is operated or administered by the Madison Development Corporation. And the city does have some representation on that board, if you will, that determines what sorts of projects or businesses might be able to be provided with those funds.
Then we also have approving a project management contract between the City of Fitchburg and Sustain Dane for the Efficiency Navigator Program.
Yeah, so folks might recall that our first year of the Efficiency Navigator program was last year in 2025. There were a number of multifamily buildings that we would consider to be naturally occurring affordable housing. They were probably built in the 70s and 80s and were in need of some energy efficient improvements. Think new windows, think some heating and cooling systems, think air leak sealing, insulation, those sorts of things. So the city has partnered with Sustain Dane and their Efficiency Navigator program. They administer that program. The city provides some funding through its Affordable Housing Fund that was created through the closure of a number of successful tax increment districts. It's not tax levy money to help make these improvements. And then the stipulation of those improvements is that the tenant has to be the benefactor of those lower energy costs. So it's really an effort to make this naturally occurring affordable housing more energy efficient, also more comfortable for those who live there from a temperature standpoint, and ideally is also reducing their utility bills that the tenants are paying. So we'll continue that program. I don't know if I said that for 2026.
Approved.
That was approved. Yes, exactly.
Thank you. We move on to an item for our bike and pedestrian plan.
Yeah, the city's been working on updating its bike and pedestrian plan. This process started early last year, if not late in 2024. Draft had been created in the spring and due some staff vacancies and leaves and other things that we were working on. This has made it to Common Council now. There's a little bit of a debate. As with any plan, there's always a desire to try to make sure it includes everything, which can be pretty difficult and challenging from a variety of perspectives. And ultimately, the Common Council decided that there was a list of changes that were identified that still need to be incorporated and can be incorporated into this plan, and that they were willing to accept that plan with those changes. And we'll move on to assessing what components of that plan can be implemented in the near term.
All right. Moving on to Finance Committee. Got a few items here. A resolution approving advanced scheduling software upgrade.
Yeah, we're working on upgrading our payroll system, and one of the main focuses is to improve our efficiency in so much as our police department, believe it or not, is still utilizing paper time cards in this day and age. And some of that is related to the complicated nature of public safety scheduling and police scheduling in general. And the vendor that's going to be providing our payroll system also has a scheduling software upgrade that's available that we believe should allow the police department to move into the 20th century, probably, if you will, if not certainly the 21st century, and do electronic or digitized timekeeping, which will certainly be a much more efficient and less time-consuming process for our payroll folks to deal with on every other Tuesday or every other Monday. So the police department does have this software already on the scheduling front, and they're simply now this authorized the upgrade. So that was approved.
All right. We go to approving a new lease agreement for our third floor copiers.
Yeah, this had previously been in front of the Common Council to replace the third floor copier. The existing model that we were going to buy was no longer available, so we had to come back because the model that was available was slightly more expensive, but that was approved.
All right. We have amending the 2025 general fund budget for Fact TV wireless intercom.
Sure. Fact TV needed a wireless intercom installed, and ultimately the project carried over into the 2025 budget year, and we needed to amend the budget to make sure that we had that covered.
We move on to resolution amending the 2026 TID closure fund budget for fire department shipping containers.
Yeah, the fire department, if you have been by station number 1 on Lacey Road, already has one shipping container there that they installed in 2025 that they can utilize for training purposes. They found that in conjunction with the abandoned well house that's there, that this is a very effective training tool, and much like some other departments in our area, as well as regionally and probably throughout the nation, they're finding really creative uses for these shipping containers as it relates to public safety training. So this budget amendment allows the fire department to purchase, I believe, 3 more containers to create a bit more intricate, if you will, training facility. at a much reduced cost to do so. If they were to look at a full-fledged training facility, we're probably talking in the millions of dollars here. And this is something that can be used not just by our fire department, but our police department as well.
All right, so move on to amending the 2025 general fund and insurance fund budgets for fire department overtime.
Yeah, the fire department was about $200,000 over their budget due to significant overtime in 2025. Our new fire chief has been spending the first 6 months of his time with us, taking a look at what might be contributing to that overage, and working to implement ways in which to minimize or mitigate the amount of that overtime expenditures. So we had to do a budget amendment to cover that overture this year. We took that from our contingency fund that is built into each of the budgets that does grow over time if it's not used. Unfortunately, this did nearly deplete the existing operating contingency, and we'll look to begin to replenish that. There's some new money that came in 2026, but we're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're really talking tens of thousands of dollars that tend to accumulate in those years in which we don't have to get into the contingency.
All right, a resolution now amending the 2026 Grants and Donations Fund budget for EMS Funding Assistance Program, or FAP.
Yeah, so the fire department for the first time applied for this grant funding from the state and was awarded about $112,000. That can largely be used for training and equipment related to EMS response. It can't be used to supplant other expenditures within the department, like overtime, for instance. So this action merely accepted the grant and included it now in the fire department budget for use for those specified things.
All right, so we have authorized payment to Alexi for outside legal services.
Sure, yeah, the city uses Axley Legal in Madison for its labor services. While we do have a city attorney on staff, she deals with more general municipal law-related items. And then, of course, there are a number of specialized disciplines within the law legal world. So we have for years contracted with Axley, and this is an annual pre-approval that authorizes funding to be used for this purpose.
Next one, authorizing legal services for excessive tax assessment lawsuit. Easy for me to say.
Yeah, there were, I think, 3 items or so related to excessive tax assessment lawsuits that the city is currently litigating. This one, in all of those cases, the city was authorizing, or the Common Council was requested to authorize additional funding to defend those cases. We have one which was the defense of MMS Triverton LLC. We had another Franklin Square fiduciary real estate development excessive tax assessment case. Hy-Vee is the third one, I believe. All 3 of those requested funding allocations were approved by the Common Council, and then the Common Council also went into a closed session with our city attorney as well as our outside legal counsel who represents the city in these excessive tax assessment cases for an update on each of those particular outstanding cases of litigation.
And then we do have a resolution approving a change order for legal services as well. So
yeah, all tied
fashion
to those, exactly. So we have to hire typically special witnesses in the form of oftentimes appraisers, and that action was related to that.
All right, we have approving a purchase of a utility 5500 series dump truck.
Yeah, so the water utility is adding a dump truck to its fleet. That is in response to adding a new position through the utility budget in the 2026 operating budget. And this authorized the purchase of a truck that they had located at Kaiser Truck and Trailer.
And then we have a resolution on acceptance of the Cyene Interceptor expansion bids.
Right, so we are extending our sewer interceptor that's called the Cyene Interceptor, which unsurprisingly is in the Cyene Road corridor, to serve a development called the Uptown Hills on Haight Farm Road, and then it would eventually extend south into the Hartung development, and then further over the course of clearly a number of years potentially all the way down to the Village of Oregon limits. So that was approved. That came in, the bids came in, the one that was accepted about 30% or so less than the engineer's estimate. So that was a nice bid for us.
All right, he's made it through. The next the committee of the whole meeting is January 28th of 2026, and the next Common Council meeting is February 10th of 2026. Chad, thank you as always.
Thank you.